It's going to be a TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view review, and what an appropriate way to celebrate TNA's 7-year anniversary. In fact, what other way can you think of to celebrate TNA's 7-year anniversary than with a bizarre screwjob finish in the main event that made very little sense at all. Very apt. It's interesting, there was a moment in the main event where Samoa Joe dropped the title and it literally landed around AJ Styles' neck, and it just seemed like a message from the gods to Vince Russo saying, "Listen Vince, we know what you've got planned tonight. It's not going to be pretty. How about you do it our way for once? Make AJ the champion. He'll be a great champion. It'll be an appropriate moment as this is the 7-year anniversary of TNA and he is the man who most represents your company. The fans will love it," which they would have. But no, unfortunately, it's Vince Russo's party and he'll overbook if he wants to. Overall, it was a fairly good pay-per-view, but that was a pretty shocking ending. Anyway, we're in Detroit. A big arena by TNA standards, holds 20,000, and I'm not sure how many tickets they sold, but I don't think it was full because there were a few evasive camera angles. Doesn't really matter though, because the crowd that they actually got in were very good indeed, a very good wrestling crowd. First match is the King of the Mountain X Division Championship match between Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, Jay Lethal, Consequence Creed, and the champion Suicide. Curtis Granderson, the Detroit Tiger, is rather exotically titled the Keeper of the Belt. And he's also on commentary briefly, but doesn't say anything really. Sabin and Shelley, of course, are hometown boys and get a good reaction, particularly Shelley, I thought. This was a good match. This was very good, in fact. If your problem with the X Division is that all their matches are spot fests and they never tell a story, then you'll probably quite like this match because, I thought they did a very good job of telling quite a difficult story in this one. The idea being that the Motor City Machine Guns and Lethal Consequences had formed a tentative alliance against Suicide to win the X Division Championship and also to unmask Suicide. I thought they did a good job of showing that in the match. I won't explain King of the Mountain rules, I'll just hope you know them. If you don't, you're pretty much screwed for this next, but anyway. Starts off 4-on-1 domination by Lethal Consequences and Motor City Machine Guns on Suicide. For once, Suicide doesn't make them all look shit like he usually does. But yeah, it is Suicide who gains eligibility first by hitting the Suicide Solution on Jay Lethal, which sends Jay Lethal to the penalty box. He then hits the Code Breaker type move from the corner on Alex Shelley, which sends him to the penalty box. Jay Lethal's next to gain eligibility. He hits the Lethal combination, quite a nice spotless, onto a steel chair. That was good, I enjoyed that. With Suicide in the penalty box and Shelley out now, we got Motor City Machine Guns and Lethal Consequences in the ring. Jay Lethal's the only one eligible, so Lethal Consequences foolishly think that he's going to go up and win the championship. But no, it all breaks down, and the Machine Guns and Lethal Consequences attack each other. Consequences Creed becomes eligible, and then there's some nice spots. There's a front flip over the top rope by Consequences Creed onto Suicide. Chris Sabin does a great thing where he runs up the ladder into the corner onto the penalty box and then does a crossbody onto all four people on the outside, which was really good. I enjoyed that. The Guns weren't eligible yet, so Sabin laid down and Shelley pinned him, once again proving that Sabin isn't the brightest one because he had to go to the penalty box and just let Shelley try and win. The Guns both at different points had a chance of winning and the crowd would have loved it, but Suicide stopped them. There were lots of nice spots from this point on. It really got very good, this match. Lethal was crouched on a ladder in the corner. This spot was a bit slow to execute, but it was a good spot. He was crouched on a ladder, which was on the corner, like this, on the turnbuckle, so it was hanging out. And Creed got front suplexed by Suicide, I think, onto the ladder, and then Lethal just went flying over and flipped. It was beautiful. Shelley hit this beautiful type of sort of reverse pile driver where he had the man here on Creed. That was really good. Sabin was lying on a ladder on the outside against the barricade, and Lethal hit the flying elbow to the outside. That was all very good. And also Sabin, Shelley hit this beautiful sliced bread on the ring apron. That really looked painful on Creed again. Creed takes a lot of really crazy spots, I've noticed. But the end of the match comes, and this is what let the match down for me. It took forever to get to this point. This was the most intricate setup imaginable. They had a ladder, they had the penalty box here, and the turnbuckles here, and they had a ladder set across it. Shelley's going up to win the championship, which would have been good actually. And Suicide is on the penalty box. He runs across, well, I say runs, he walks really slowly and then hits a cutter on Shelley and then picks up the championship, crowd boo him, and he retains. And then, you know, the lights go out and it just... the lights go out for so long. It takes Suicide forever to leave the arena. It's not remotely impressive, but there you go. Good match, very good match. Let down by the ending. Didn't think Suicide should retain, but yeah, fair enough. We got a little interview of Shane Douglas where he refers to himself as a legend. And then we also have him come into the ring and get some cheap heel heat by just insulting the Detroit Red Wings, which is just, you know, that's just too easy. And that match is next. Shane Douglas versus Daniels. I would describe this match as perfectly booked. That's how I describe it. Because Shane Douglas is just a fat man. He is not a wrestler anymore. He is totally incompetent. He couldn't do anything. He was just standing there and letting Daniels kick him. You know, that was basically his role in this match. So I thought they booked it really well. It was just never possible to make this good. So there were lots of side headlocks and rest holds by Daniels. And then, as I said, it was just Douglas standing in the middle of the ring and getting kicked. Douglas comes back into it by throwing his arm into the ring steps. Then he works the arm in quite a boring way, but still more interesting than what could have happened. And the end comes when Daniels hits an STO and then the BME. Fair enough, you know, it was about the best you could do with Shane Douglas. So then we have a little interview with JB and Mick Foley, where Mick Foley thinks that Jeff Jarrett's on his side for some unknown reason, and he claims that his next title defense will be at Bound for Glory 2010. I thought the interesting thing about this was he said Jeff knows what's good for the company, and I was like, does Jeff know what's good for the company? Is he going to win the title tonight? That's what I was actually thinking, because that's not what's good for the company. Then we had Tara versus Angelina Love. This could have been better. This really could have been better. I think I might be overrating Angelina Love. I thought she was actually quite good, but I'm not convinced she is. She looked really strong in this match, so I was kind of expecting her to lose, but she did win. The beautiful people got involved several times. Really not that interesting a match. Tara started throwing Angelina around by the hair, which sounds shit, but was actually quite good. She was pulling her up by the hair onto her back and stuff like that. The beautiful people, I think they spray her at some point, but eventually Angelina Love hits the Botox injection, you know, the kick to the face, and then the lights out for the win. Fair enough. I didn't think Tara should go over so quickly anyway, so that's alright. Then we have Lauren interviewing Dr. Stevie, Raven and Daffney. Dr. Stevie and Raven do their slightly entertaining psychotic shticks. And then we have that match. It's Abyss and Taylor Wilde versus Daffney and Raven in a Monsters Ball match. Very good match. This was very good. The girls took some bumps, particularly Daffney, of course. This was good. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a good match. Starts off, Abyss does his running charge thing to Raven and Daffney, and Raven gets out of the way and Daffney gets squashed. It was really good. Abyss then throws Daffney in a military press out onto Raven and Stevie Richards, which I enjoyed. And then Taylor Wilde went up and she played her part. She did a crossbody onto all three of them on the outside, knocking them into the guardrail. I thought that was good. The men and women separate for a bit. Some terrible camera angles. Like, TNA needs to get that sorted out. It was just atrocious, to be honest. Like, Don West was commentating on things we couldn't see. Then Taylor Wilde gets up onto the speakers and places Daffney on a table, and then does a fairly weak crossbody, but you weren't expecting her to do the spot, so it was pretty impressive, onto Daffney. That was good. Towards the end of the match, Dr. Stevie just keeps repeatedly interfering when the faces have the victory in hand, and then Taylor Wilde spinebusters Daffney into the tax. Very good. Wasn't expecting that at all. Very impressed with Daffney over that. And then the end comes, Abyss gets Even Flow DDT'd onto a chair and kicks out, and then Raven gets Black Hole slammed onto the thumbtacks for the victory. That was good. I really enjoyed that. I thought that would be shit. It was actually really good. Lots of nice spots. Brilliant. Anyway, turn over to part 2.